Alright, hey guys, it's Brian and welcome back to my shop. So this is going to be episode number 8 of Project Split Decision. So where we left off in episode 7 is I hadn't actually created this frame. So I went ahead and made a complete mirror copy of the frame, and now I'm starting the process of actually go ahead and mounting this Tesla motor. What we need though to get this Tesla going, or get this body going, is some batteries, and that's where this comes in. So if you see behind me, I got a Volt, and I actually happened to meet this guy named Rashawn, and Rashawn, why don't you come on in? And Rashawn actually had just finished up an electric build on a motorcycle, an electric motorcycle build. So I kind of actually said, hey, you want to be a part of the project? And he's like, well, sure. And so I have no idea how to deal with this Volt, so I've kind of actually, it's going to be on his channel. Why don't you go ahead and tell him what we're going to do over there?
Hey, what is up, guys? It's Rashad from InvokePro. And right now I just completed a 0DS motorcycle rebuild project. So with that project, I essentially bought an electric motorcycle off Copart, in which I put it back together, made sure all the components function, and I was able to get a working motorcycle from nothing. So I believe that I have a little bit of experience with electric bikes, and we're going to get this battery module put in split decision, and we're going to get it up and running, and we're going to show you guys the whole project. So we're really excited about that. Me and Brian are going to team up and get that together for you.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I will continue to actually do the build on the actual car on this channel, and the actual strip down of the Volt and the components and that process is actually going to be on his channel, and I'll go ahead and link that in the description. So stay tuned, and let's go ahead and get cracking. So the Volt is safely being dismantled. Well, maybe not safely, but it's being dismantled. So there we go, we got that going for us. I'm going to focus my energy on trying to get this Tesla motor mounted. Do want to make one correction. What I just said was these are mirror copies. That's not 100% true. The problem was the mount points here. So you can see here, this is actually going back and actually mounts to subcradle on the underside of the subcradle. GM and the gas-powered version of this car is actually mounted on the top side. I had to actually make these mounted on the bottom side because there really isn't enough room here. This Tesla motor fits in here nicely, but just wouldn't have enough room. The wood is in here just to act as a spacer, so once I do actually pull, have this thing mounted here, it won't drop too far and rust on top of the subcradle. And the one other thing that you'll note if you know about Teslas is this motor is actually inverted. Normally Tesla runs theirs on the back side. I'm choosing to run it on the front side, which is also allowing me to run this diff really nicely low, which lines up with these axles. So I've got a temporary axle in place. So this right now is actually where this motor needs to live. So what I need to do is make the mount points for that. We'll actually attach the frame to the mount points. So this motor has a mount point in the front, one on the back, and one on that side. So considering that I'm going to actually do the maintenance on this motor, should I have to, coming out the top, that means the bracing and stuff is going to be down here. So that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start cutting things up and getting it welded up and hopefully get this motor mounted here within the next couple hours. So I went ahead and made those braces up. Didn't feel like really recording it. There's really nothing special about it. It's just a little bend on the top side there and a little bend on the bottom side. But now we get a bit of a problem. There's actually 3 motor mounts on this car, one on the front, one on the back, and one on this side. The problem is, because I am not running it exactly how Tesla designed, this motor mount is at an angle, and that's really not going to work out. So let me give a zoom in on that problem here. Give me a second. So here's the last motor mount I was talking about. As you can see, this is actually at a pretty severe angle, and if I were to use this mount in this position right now, it would actually fail and cause this motor to just basically push out. So what I really need to do is have this be level, having the weight be supported in the plane it was designed to be supported in, like that. And then I can weld it to the rail up top here. So what I'm going to have to do is make a little adapter plate so I can get it to be in the right spot. And through the magic of editing, I have a plate. So this is the original kind of position this actually kind of lived in here. Something like that. Okay, so you can see it was at a pretty severe angle. And so what I've done is made these offsets. I'm going to use one of the original bolts, and then that'll allow me to have it nice and parallel to the ground. I was also lucky enough that this does have a 1/4 inch welded on top of it. That's because this is not perfectly flat, so there's about a 1/4 inch difference there. So that actually worked out really well for me. So now all I got to do is bolt it up and then weld bracket onto this to actually hold it in the right position. do some final welding and put some gussets in. Probably not going to record a lot of that. It's pretty boring actually. And then we'll start talking about batteries and battery replacement. So get to it. Okay, so there we have it. Motor mounts are created. Engine is all the way in. Very excited about that. I'm going to go ahead and give you a close-up of the different motor mounts. Basically, we've got the side mount here. And then we've got the front mount. And then we've got the back mount. At this point, what I really need to do is actually take all this apart, yet again, and flip the frame upside down. And we're going to flip the frame upside down so we can talk about the battery installation. So why don't we go ahead and jump over here to where Rashad's at, and he's been working on dismantling the batteries, and we'll go ahead and take a look at that process and actually go ahead and figure out how we're going to put this in the batteries in this car. So here's our Volt battery that's been totally dismantled thanks to my friend here. We'll get to him in a second. So as I was alluding to, what I've got to do now is actually flip the chassis upside down so I can actually figure out where all these mount points are, these holes. Because I want to reuse this tray. And I'm actually going to reuse the top as well. These two batteries here will end up going inside the cabin down the tunnel ram, and these batteries back here will actually go outside the firewall. Since we're talking about the batteries, I actually didn't do this teardown. I'll turn it over here to Rashawn, who's from InvokePro, and I'll put a link in the description to his channel, and he can tell us what's going on with the batteries.
Yeah, so guys, when we were tearing this battery down, our main concern was if the batteries were still good, because we couldn't get a read on the voltage while it was still assembled. So we tore it down, and then we found out that the cells are actually good. We're getting full capacity at each cell as far as the voltage goes when we measured it. So a lot of people were asking me, what's the capacity goes, or what's the capacity of this Volt battery? Right now, this pack is rated at 16 kilowatts, and our capacity goes is rated at, we're going to try to go for 32 kilowatts, which is we're going to get a second Volt pack and run in parallel to double our capacity, but our voltage goals must stay the same at around 400 volts, that is, Brian? So 400 volts. And also, if you notice behind us, we have a Tesla Model S battery pack here. We're going to try to do a combination of maybe Tesla and Volt batteries to reach that target goal, because you can run the different capacities as long as the voltage is the same. So that's kind of our goal right now. I think that's going to be a really good power target that we'll be able to reach with this battery configuration. So more to come on that, guys. We'll keep you updated. And back to Brian on how we're going to configure this thing back in the chassis.
So as you can kind of see here, this pack is actually a little short considering the length of the car. So we can actually get a little bit more capacity down the middle of the tunnel ram. So these cells actually break up. So we're going to pull a couple of these 1 kilowatt cells and actually pad out this or extend out this battery pack that's going inside the vehicle, and that'll leave less to go behind into the firewall, because remember, we got to double this, so we still need, even though this doesn't look like a lot of space, once we actually double that, either with the Tesla or with the Volt, we're going to be filling up that back section up pretty quickly. So basically that's it. We'll go ahead and get over there and get the chassis flipped and get this thing mounted up, mocked up anyway. So I've successfully cut out the frame rails, the middle frame rails that I welded in. They were welded in actually really well, so it took a little while to get those out. As you can see right here, this is actually the Volt pan. So what I need to do now is actually put the rails back in, but I need them properly spaced so I can actually use this middle section of the Volt pan. The T section, actually, I'm not going to use at all, but I do want to actually salvage this middle section here. So given that we're switching over to like the batteries, I think this is probably a good place to actually go ahead and finish up this video. And in the next video, we'll obviously be welding in the frame rails as well as getting that Volt tray in. And hopefully we'll have the second set of Volt batteries. We're actually running 2 sets in parallel. So hopefully they'll be here by then. So anyway, until later, hopefully you've enjoyed the show. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching.